So I've been working very hard on getting ready for this show that I'll be doing, where I'll be selling my eggs at an annual quilt show and doing all of these quilt inspired patterns. So I decided to try something a little different and still in the quilt inspired, but a little different take on it. And these are all chicken eggs. These two are actually brown eggs. So on the lines that I did, rather than do a solid line, I did a dotted line, so it kind of looks like stitching. And here's another one. This is the Rushnyk pattern. This is the wedding circle pattern. This is the 12 diamond, and then this one's called a saddlebag pattern. So these are the ones that I did with the stitching. Had a lot of fun doing it. So I'm going to demonstrate how I did this one, and then next week I'll show you how I did this one. So the pattern that I'm going to be using is the Rushnyk, but inside the diamonds, I'm going to try to do something that's kind of inspired by this quilt, which was in Quilt Maker November, December 2022, and it has Abigail Dollinger name as the designer. Here is kind of a close-up of what similar to this is what I intend to put into the center of each one of the diamonds on the Rushnyk type pattern. But before we get to that, we have to get the egg divided. So for this division, we need to, you start out and you divide the egg using your template into the 4 sections. So at the 90, if you're using a template, this is what you do: 90, 90, 60, 90, 60, 90. Well, you want 4 lines going around the egg. However you divide that. So here's 1 going all the way around, 2, the other one. Okay. You do not need the equator line for this one. In fact, I recommend you don't do the equator line because it can be very confusing if you put it in. So I would recommend that you don't. All right, so I have 2 lines going all the way around the egg. I know I drew them lightly, but don't want my lines to show up at the end. Now you're going to take your tape measure, and if you don't have a tape measure, you'll just have to kind of eyeball it. But what the Rushnyk has 4 squares. So however wide you decide to make it, you need to make it twice that from this line down. So mine is going to be 1 inch wide, and you do have to adapt this based on your egg. So let's see, let's get to where we can read the numbers. All right, so I want it to be 1 inch wide, so I need it to be 2 inches from the top down. So I'm going to make a little line where it's 2 inches down on both sides. All right, and now I'm going to make little lines that are 1 inch apart, or 1 inch wide from the center here. So make some little lines, and I kind of cheated and already drew the lines, but you're going to draw those lines, little marks, and now you'll connect it all. So you're going to have a big rectangle that goes all the way around this band. Right, like that. Okay, so you have this line. You see it? Okay. Now we're going to turn the egg a quarter of a turn, and we're going to do the same thing but it's going to go this way. So this one's going to go like this, and this one goes like that. So I measured again from here to here was 2 inches, from here to here is 2 inches, and then an inch wide, and it is very close at these points. So again, you do kind of need to adapt it to your egg. I'm using a regular large chicken egg that I bought at the grocery store, but as we all know, chicken eggs come in all shapes and sizes. So, you know, you might be able to make yours longer. You might decide, you know, if you have one of a long skinny egg, maybe you want it to be a little narrower. And you can always add little tassels or things at the end to make it extend. We'll get into that later. All right, so I have, it goes like this, and it goes like this. Now, when I was measuring the 2 inches from top to bottom, I could have also made a little line at the 1 inch. And if I forgot to mention that, you can if you want. If you didn't, go back and do that now. And now this one's divided into 4 sections, and they're pretty square. So now this is up to you. If you want to, you can, but you can measure, you know, what is halfway on all these. But the next thing you're going to do is draw a diamond in the center of each of these. And you do want your diamonds to be, you know, pretty uniform. So you got 4 diamonds drawn. Now we are going to, you can measure this or you can eyeball it. I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to put a line that goes like this, but it stops when it gets to the diamond. And you know, this is optional. If you don't want to have this kind of line on your egg, you don't have to. It's all up to you. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And I'll measure it. Let's see, how big is that? That's about 1/8 of an inch. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to draw, I'm going to draw this inside here. And to do that, I'm going to draw, first I'm going to draw, I already have this center line, and I want to draw this line just real lightly. Those are to guide me. And now I'm going to draw, I'm doing this a little different from the pattern. I'm going to draw lines like this. So I have the hashtag, #, tic-tac-toe, whatever you want to call it. So I've drawn that in there. Now I'm going to draw a line that goes in each one of these here. I'm going to draw a line that goes like that and like that. And that. So I'm drawing little accents in all of these. I'm looking at my point. Okay. And now in the center here, I'm going to do mine a little differently than they did theirs, but I'm just going to put another little diamond inside of it. All right. So I'm going to draw that in the rest of these, and then I'm going to come back and start waxing the egg. All right, so I'm ready to start waxing the egg. And I know I've drawn solid lines here, but in order to give the stitching effect, when I go to wax those lines, I'm going to draw dashed lines. I'm not going to be worried particularly about if they're evenly spaced or not. I know on a machine they would be, but you know, maybe if you were quilting by hand, it wouldn't be exactly the same. So I'm just making the little dashes, and if you don't want to do this, you can just draw the straight line. I will tell you, it takes a little longer to do the dashes than it does to do just a straight line. But when you do the dashes, sometimes they're not exactly perfectly straight and you don't notice it because they're little dashes. So yeah, there's plus and minuses to each one. So I'm just going to go all the way around. I'm starting with the outside of it. And this pattern, I really like it. It's so adaptable because you can put all different kinds of things in these diamonds here. All different symbols. You can put little flowers in them. You can put different styles crosses. You could put deer in them. You could put a lot of things. And they don't have to be all the same. On this one, I'm doing them all the same, but they don't have to be. They can be whatever you want. All right, so I've done the outside. Now what I'm going to do is the diamond shape. And I'm also going to do that with the dashed lines. And I do each diamond individually. So I don't like take this line and extend it up there. I do each one individually. And mainly that is because of the curve of the egg. That's how I draw them. I draw each one of them individually because the curve of the egg is different where each one of them is. So what one would need as a diamond, you know, the curvature of the egg might be something different for a different one. Okay, there's one. Just going to do the second one, and then I'll show you what I do on the other little line. And then I'm going to go off camera and wax everything and come back and talk about what we're putting in the inside the diamonds. Okay, so I'll keep waxing that. But now there was this little line we drew here. And the reason I draw the diamonds before I wax this line is so that I know where this line needs to stop. Because sometimes where I draw my pencil lines is not where I place the wax. So in this case, all right, and then we'll do the same over here. Oh, I'm so excited to see how this is going to look. All right, so now I'm going to finish doing all the other outlined, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about what goes in the diamond. So I have all of the rectangles, the diamonds, and the lines inside the rectangles drawn with the dotted line. And again, I'm doing the dotted line because I'm doing these quilt inspired patterns. You do not have to do a dotted line. You can do a solid line. It's entirely up to you. So what I am going to do now is my design that is going in the center of each one of these. So I had to find the one I drew, because I drew a couple of them and I didn't like. Oh yeah, okay, that one. All right, I guess that is the one I drew. Okay, so here's the one I've drawn. So quilt inspired, I'm going to do this with a dotted line too. And I did fail to mention earlier, I am using my It was electric with the fine tip, and I'm using this blue wax from Ukrainian Accessories, and I've been using it, and that's been used up. This wax works very well on a white egg. I have found once I start putting colors on the egg, it becomes a little harder to see, particularly if you dye your egg blue. Yeah, and you're thinking, well, of course, Chris, it's hard to see blue wax on a blue egg. So, but for the white egg, it works very well. So that's why I'm using that. All right, so now I'm going to draw the hashtag. So that's going to go like this. So there's 4 lines. And I'm kind of doing it, I'm going to say I'm doing it diagonal. I'm not doing it this way, which you could do it that way. I just chose to do it this way. Either way would be fine. They look a little different. That was originally the way I tested it out, but I liked it this way better. So that's why I did it this way. So I have that. Now the other ones didn't have all these dotted lines. So this one I'm trying to do it and see if I like it. So it's going to go like this. And then it's going to go like this. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. And I'm kind of like coming off the point of that one. Alrighty. Now I'm going to do this little tiny diamond in the center. Okay, I was going to do lines coming off of it, but I think I'm just going to leave it like that, because otherwise I think it's just going to be too much in there. Okay, I like that. Now I will do that in all of those, and then I believe I will be ready to dye it in the first color, which is going to be yellow. So if I change my mind, you'll know when I come back. Okay, so I changed my mind. I'm sure you're shocked, but the center part here that I was going to do a stitching, I just decided I fill it in with white, because I looked back at my reference photo, and one of the things I liked was kind of the white center. So that was really the only change I made to what I was doing earlier, was rather than making that a little dash line, and it was so small, the dash line was looking like a solid line, and then I thought, well, I wanted that to be white, so I just filled it in. And now I am ready to dye the egg in yellow. I'm going to try to do somewhat of a traditional color sequence on this one. That's my plan. We'll see how that works out. So I have dyed this egg yellow. It's a beautiful yellow color. And I'm ready to add the elements that will be yellow. Now from here on out, I will not be using any of the dashed lines. I think I have enough that shows it's a, you know, to represent the quilt pattern. So the first thing I'm going to do is, in each one of the diamonds, I am going to put another diamond in each, like here, 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 and here. So I'll just go ahead and do that. I still have the blue wax in here. So the center one will be white, and then these will be yellow. There's one. to, and you can see the blue wax does show up well against the yellow. It's a slight green tinge to it because it's blue wax and it's a yellow egg. But you can see the blue wax very well on the yellow, in case you were wondering. Okay, so I will do that. And then in these areas that are here, I am going to put some netting. Now, this isn't really quilt related, but definitely it is Pysanky related. So I'm going to draw a triangle inside this triangle area that looks like that. And then I'm going to draw some lines that look like this. And then I'll draw some lines that look like that. So I'll do that, and in this area here, I'll do like a half one of those right there. Right now I am going to put some, I'm trying to decide if I was going to put dots in here, and I was trying to decide if I wanted them to be yellow or if I wanted them to be orange. And I think I've decided I want them to be orange, and instead I'm going to make some little tassels down here with the yellow. This is optional, and I could have done this when the egg was white. Didn't have to do it now, but all right. So I need to put these diamonds and all the others, do this netting, and then put this type fringe on all the other ends, right? And then I haven't decided if I'm going to put green on it now. So if I put green on it, we'll do that next. Otherwise, it will go into the orange. Now we have an orange Pysanky. And this was, I didn't mention it earlier, the yellow was the Ukrainian Gift Shop yellow. This is Ukrainian Gift Shop orange. This egg was from someone who raises chickens, so it is taking the dye exceptionally well. So now, I still have a little bit of blue wax in here, so I'm going to see how well this shows up on the color orange. All right, so where I want the orange to be is in this little area right here. It might be kind of hard to see what I'm doing on there. So on this pattern, this area right here, that like plaid area, that's what I'm making the orange. So we're gonna do that. There'll be 4 of those. So there's 1. I have to say, with the dotted lines, I don't know if it's the dotted lines or the division that I drew, but this is a little challenging I had to keep looking back at my reference photo to make sure I was doing this as I intended to do. Okay. All right. So we're going to do that. I'll do that in all the other diamonds. And then the other area, and that does show up fairly well. Okay. You can see the blue on the orange, which kind of makes sense because blue and orange make a brown in the color world. So that makes sense. I can see it on the orange. So I'm going to put a little bit more in here because it was almost empty, and I thought, well, let's see how well it shows up. And then I'll decide what color I fill it with. All right. So the other thing I want to do is in this little space here, the space in between, we're going to just put a little wavy line. And so that's just going to kind of go like that. And I am, again, using my Luba's electric with the fine tip. And then when I get to the diamond, I stop. So when this Pysanky is all done, it should look like the diamond overlaps this band area. And just like that. So I need to do this wavy line on this side and on both there. And then I need to fill in that on all the other ones. And then I'm going to be putting it in red, which is the Ukrainian gift shop red. And now we have a red egg. So what are we going to put on here that wax? Where are we going to put the wax so it stays red? Okay, I still have a little bit of blue wax in here, so I'm going to see how this shows up on a red egg. And if it doesn't, and we'll remove that hair. Okay, so within the diamond area, the parts I want to be red are, well, here, I'll show you on the reference photo. So this plaid is the orange, and these two spots here are going to be red. So where was I starting to do that? Right there. Okay, so it's going to be here. Right there, and here. Yeah, I can still see it with the blue wax. Okay, well, I'll put some more in there then. So red and blue making purple, and that's probably why I can still see it. All right. Put it here. And here. I'll go back over these and clean them up later. Here. 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 And here. Okay. So that's what that's going to look like. And then the other place that I'm going to put red, and I'll probably, this is the Luba's electric with the medium, and or with the fine, and I'll switch to the medium, but this space here where I drew the wavy line with the orange, I will completely cover that on all of these. And again, stopping when I get to the diamond. Okay, so, and then starting up over there. So I need to put wax in all those areas, and then I'm going to dye it in my final color, and then we'll be back for the reveal. So now I have everything waxed that I want to stay red. I have all my colors on here except for my background color. My background color is going to be black. However, black sometimes doesn't take real well over red. So what I have here is, oops, it's upside down, Ukrainian gift shop dark green. We're going to put it in here for a couple of minutes, and then I'll take it out, blot it off, and then I will put it into the black for 3 minutes, and then I'll be ready to do a reveal. So here we have the egg all dyed in black. You can see it took very well, and now I'm ready to take the wax off. And here is the completed Pysanky with the kind of faux stitching look to it, which if you could also do this pattern without the faux stitching, you could do it with just a solid line. It'd be just as beautiful. And but this is for my quilt inspired series, so I do love it. This is the inspiration for what I put in here. And this is called Flying Geese. How cool, because this is a chicken egg, but I do a lot of patterns on goose eggs too. So this was the pattern for this week. And next week I'm going to do another traditional design on, but using this faux stitching method. So doesn't want to, okay, there we go, stay. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for the next pattern.